Fans here in the Tri-State have a little bit longer to wait for the delayed season to start, so we thought, well, why not take this time to look at how America's pastime has been played here in Cincinnati. And joining me now is sports journalist John Erardi. John, it's so good to see you again and talk some baseball. 1869. That's the important date in this baseball town when the Red Stockings became the first professional baseball team. But you and your writing partner, Larry Phillips, found evidence that baseball was played in this city 11 years prior to that and before anyone thought the game was played here. Tell us what you found out.
It's amazing, John, because you're right. That date, 1869, is so important because basically our opening day, which starts at home, is based upon that. But in our case, we found, and I hope the West Siders are sitting down for this, that the game actually began on the east side in Madison and Hackberry, very close to St. Francis de Sales Church. And it was started by a group of cricket and town ball players, most notably a fellow named Baum de Beck, who was from Jersey, so he was familiar with baseball. And they decided to try baseball. They took a carriage ride, or basically a horse carriage ride, out to East Walnut Hills, played 4 baseball games in 1858, and it really didn't reemerge until after the Civil War. But those 4 games are key because that was the roots of Cincinnati baseball, the home of professional baseball.
Now, tell us how you stumbled across this. Was it in the local newspapers or that sort of thing?
Yeah, my friend and great researcher Larry Phillips started this whole process because as we were working on the 1869 book, which you're familiar with, we discovered the game was played here 11 years earlier. So we didn't have time to get that in the 1869 book, but Larry and I decided, you know what, this would make a heck of a magazine story. Unfortunately, Cincinnati Magazine editor John Fox decided to take a chance on it, and we worked it all together. We got the National Underground Railroad in there. Of course, that's side by side with the ballpark here. I would argue our 2 most famous institutions, if you will, from this city. And it was a beautiful story because side by side with where the baseball players lived were the abolitionists and the traffickers on the Underground Railroad, right here in this 2 square mile area of the basin of Cincinnati.
If you can go over real quickly for us. Now, you only found evidence of about 4 games, as you noted, that were played in 1858. Do you think that it didn't continue after that, or at least it wasn't covered after that because of the competition with the other games that were going on in the city?
Yeah, that's exactly true. The 2 big games here were town ball primarily, which is like baseball, but not exactly the same. It doesn't have the 90-foot between the bases, et cetera, 3 outs, 9 guys per side, 9 innings. That rule, by the way, all those rules came about in March of 1858 out of New York City, where the game was played. There were baseball cities, quote unquote, around Cincinnati, such as Louisville. They have quite a history of baseball, but here they stuck with town ball and cricket, I think because it was more of a social thing. It was established, and they decided to stick with it. The reason it reoccurred in 1866 is because of the Civil War. Again, people were exposed to it. The game was played both in Confederate and Union camps. And when they came back to Cincinnati, by the way, a lot of these baseball players served in the Civil War, especially the cricket players who were from England and didn't have to. They gave their service to this country. So the game was reformed here in 1866.
All right, John, we only have a few seconds left. I got to get your quick take on what you think about the return of baseball.
I love it, John. I'm sure you're excited about it, too. We're all baseball fans. The fact that the Reds made all these acquisitions in the offseason, we're finally going to get a chance to see it. Hopefully, got my fingers crossed. I'm excited about the Reds' chances. 60 games, hoping for them to win 38 or 40 games, go to the postseason, hopefully win the World Series. I think they've got that good a team and that good a pitching staff. All
right, then you heard it first from John Erardi right there. John, thank you so much talking about the article that's in the current issue of Cincinnati Magazine and talking a little bit about baseball coming back.
Thank you so much, John.